So in this segment, we're going to be talking about the UK kind of puffing up a trade deal with India and also kind of conflating it with foreign direct investment as well. So foreign direct investment is when one country or an entity kind of invests in another country. Countries do this all the time for soft power reasons. The UK's kind of arguments about this, £1 billion trade deal with India, which is great, but it's not worth a lot in the grand scheme of how much the UK trades, especially when it comes to trading with the EU, which we know has fallen off a cliff when it comes to exports. And in terms of imports, we got to wait probably until next year to understand the damage on imports. But point being is that you're still going to have to do customs checks. You're still going to have to do, possible vet checks depending on what you export to India. We don't know what the kind of products are that, India predominantly buys. At least I don't. I can't see a lot of people in India buying Stilton and stuff like that. This is embarrassing from this Truss here, and really shows you that Brexiteers are struggling right now, because when we dig into the actual specifics of it, we see that the BBC really do frustrate me when they just quote him verbatim, Boris Johnson or any kind of liar. But it does quite irritate me. But we look here, the Prime Minister has announced a new trade and investment deal with India worth £1 billion. Now, to the average person, you think £1 billion is a lot of money, but realistically, to the UK's economy, it's not a lot. We know that the trade deal with Australia adds about 800 million on to current trade, which we do, which is about 18 billion. So it's adding a bit, and I guess if you make the argument that by doing all these trade deals, you add a bit more and a bit more and a bit more each time, and therefore, you make up the loss of trade with the EU. But we were told that we would have that trade with the EU on top of having trade deals with other countries. And a £1 billion trade deal is not a lot, and I'll explain in a minute why that is. But, this is, going to create around 6,000 jobs, which apparently is a best case scenario. But even the UK can't even decide, is it going to create 6,000, is it 6,500? Tomorrow they might say it's like 9,000, over 9.
It's over 9,000! What?
We don't know. But what we do know is that they're puffing up a deal where they talk about the big number, 6,000 jobs, £1 billion. And you think, oh, that's a lot of money, the UK is doing great here. But when it comes to the grand scheme of how much the UK's economy is worth, it's not a lot. Downing Street said the new partnership would pave the way for a future UK-India free trade agreement. So we can see here that, look, we're talking about a potential deal. It's not even been signed yet, and yet the BBC are like, UK-India trade deal will create 6,000 jobs, says PM. So it sounds like this deal is already done, but we know that's not the case. So I don't understand why the BBC always quote this man verbatim and offer no pushback at all, especially because what do India want out of this trade deal? What specifically do they benefit from this? Which we'll talk about actually in a minute, because the BBC kind of failed to mention this stuff. It's ridiculous. But we go to resident expert Dr. Anna Jowazeska, where she says that, look, £1 billion trade deal with India in a move to create more than 6,000 jobs is not only a rough estimate, it's a hopeful best case scenario, creative accounting estimate. So she's saying it's not going to be worth 6,000. It's not going to be worth it. She's an expert in the field. She goes on to say it's not binding. No one is accountable for delivering these numbers, which is true. And there's unlikely to be serious effort to measure where they've been delivered. And she says, correction, 6,500. So the BBC are saying it's 6,000. That's according to Boris Johnson. Now we find it's Diffid saying 6,500. Tomorrow, quote me, I'll say 9,001. It's just ridiculous at this point. And point being is that, look, this is worth £1 billion, okay? That's a lot of money. But in 2015, we signed a £9 billion commercial deal between the UK and India. So in 2015, this was before the referendum. This would have been just after David Cameron's majority win in the election. And we see that we've signed a deal with India worth £9 billion. And this trade deal and the foreign investment that Boris Johnson is touting is worth only £1 billion. So the BBC should have offered pushback here, but they didn't. And, Liz Truss and people like her say this is thanks to Brexit. Are you saying thanks to Brexit we have a deal that's worth, what, 8 billion less than something we signed as a member of the EU? Like, are you that dense? Are you actually going to lie to people like that? So this is ridiculous at this point. And we also know that the EU were looking at signing a deal with India, but the reason why the EU couldn't do this is because of Theresa May. So you remember when all those Brexiteers said we didn't have any power as a member of the EU? We actually really did, and it was Theresa May who was the main stumbling block with a deal with India. So it says here, a document drawn up by MEPs, let's check the date on this one quickly, this is from 2017, so this is post-Brexit, saying that a document drawn up by MEPs on the powerful trade committee analysing the impact of Brexit on the EU's trade talks around the world suggests India's desire to maintain tariffs on Scotch whisky has hindered progress on an India-EU trade deal. So we know that at the time they had that tariff in place, they didn't want to get rid of it for whatever reason, and we also know that most likely they still haven't gotten rid of it. So this UK trade deal would do nothing to get rid of a tariff on Scotch whisky. Theresa May also opposed giving Indian people more opportunities to work in the UK, even for skilled workers. She refused to give visas, easier access for Indian workers on skilled visas, which shows you how ridiculous she is as a person. So these are the two stumbling blocks the UK had. Maybe when it comes to the EU, maybe they don't have the same stumbling blocks. Scotch is a Scottish made drink, so that's not going to be a problem. I don't think the Scots would oppose, an independent Scotland potentially would oppose an EU deal if India said we're not going to get rid of the tariff on Scotch. So again, this is just so dumb. Even talks about which EU countries are bigger trading partners. So obviously these statistics are quite old, but we can see here as a trading partner for India, Germany is the top EU country, ranked number 6, whereas the UK figure only ranked 18 between Kuwait and Iran. So at the time in 2017, Kuwait and Iran, massive economic titans, where are they? They're not even in the top 10 of economies, are doing far more trade, than the UK. So, how much is that number going to go up? Not much. So, this is absolutely spellbindingly stupid. Liz Truss talking about it, negotiating a comprehensive trade deal, more than doubling trade. So we're not even doing that much trade then if we're only going to get about, 600 million out of this, realistically. Reducing barriers to trade in key industries. Are you going to get rid of the Scotch tariff? Let's see it. And we also know that the UK actually have agreed for giving easier access to Indian migrants with regards to visas. So if it's the case that this was a stumbling block for the UK before and it's not now, the only reason we've actually got this deal is because the UK have lowered the bar. Whether that's rightly or wrongly, whatever your opinion of allowing skilled workers from India to come here, realistically, they're going to add a lot to the economy, jobs-wise. I think this is a good thing, but we could have done this as a member of the EU, but we chose not to do this. So the only reason we really got this trade deal is because we lowered the bar so that we could allow skilled Indian migrants to come here to work and study. That's the reason we got this deal, because this is one of the things that India pushes, and you could be mad about it, but simply the case, that they want more Indian students coming to, kind of accredited Western universities, because that qualification is worth a lot. Also, the fact that by sending skilled workers here, they can learn a lot whilst they're here, as well as adding a lot to the economy. And if they eventually go back to India when their visa ends, if they're not allowed stay in the UK, they'll add a lot to the Indian economy as well, potentially. So the reason why we got this deal mainly is down to the fact that we caved on one of the rules we set in place. So it's just ridiculous that these people are arguing that as a member of the EU, we couldn't have got this trade deal, because potentially we could have done. It was the UK were the stumbling block. And also the fact that, maybe she is right. Maybe we wouldn't have been able to sign a £1 billion trade deal with India if we're still part of the European Union. It probably would have been a lot higher. Because the EU has far more leverage over India than the UK ever will. Because EU countries trade far more with India. There's more reason to create a deal there than there is. There's more reason to create not just a actual free trade deal, but also bilateral deals as well. But, that's just me. But I'm just incredibly frustrated at the situation. I've wanted to cover this for a few days now. I was trying to figure out how I'd cover it, and hopefully I've done good enough. Where, we can see here that the UK is kind of conflating foreign direct investment here, which is, £433 million is new investment from India. That's foreign direct investment. That's something, the UK could have done as part of the EU, and we know the UK has done this. We've signed commercial deals with other countries. France, I think, signed one recently with India. So this trade deal is worth less than £500 million. That's what it's worth, because half of this £1 billion, over half of it, is in foreign direct investment. That tells you that we don't do a lot of trade with India, and it's not worth a lot. So what does this mean? This means that the UK, as always, is looking for optics wins. Wins where when you look at it, it looks like a win, but it's a hollowed out win because there's nothing there. So look, I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.